Hello there, I'm Big Alias. That was a bit mean. I don't know why I did it in such a way. I'm sorry, okay? But most of all, I'm kind of not. I want to do a video right now, and I'm going to say something controversial. I don't know why. I feel as though people like who... If anyone regularly watches my channel, they probably think I'm some sort of provocateur who's like trying to get people angry for views and clickbait. I'm really not. I just have a lot of takes that aren't exactly in line with what the internet would think. But this is more of a subjective one. It's just a matter of fun and what I consider to be fun. But I'm going to say it. So stand back and prepare. I prefer Resident Evil 3 remake to the Resident Evil 2 remake. I'm sorry, I just do. I think it's more fun. I've had a far better time with it than I did with Resident Evil 2. I tried and tried and tried with Resident Evil 2 remake, I promise you. And I will say this, I think it's a better game. I think Resident Evil Remake 2 is better than Resident Evil Remake 3, but I cannot get past what I assume is quite near to the beginning of Resident Evil 2, and I just can't, because it's like, it's so obtuse. It's just so like, oh, you must do this, and then you will receive a code. The code will be on the back of the deer's head, and when you flip the deer head, you can enter the code, but enter it backwards, as you can tell by the fact that there's a mirror opposite the fucking key card area where you have to enter the code. And then, if you enter it, and then throw your controller in the air and do a shit on your controller, maybe we'll let you through the door. And I'm sorry. I've said this many times on the channel. I just cannot abide obtuse game design. And I don't get that sense quite as much with Resident Evil 3. In fact, I'm actually very impressed with the way that they mix that like find it and figure it out style gameplay with like kind of traditional zombie survival gameplay. And I think it's quite impressive. I was very impressed with that. Like, I have had to wander around a hospital and find an audio cassette tape, but the way that it's paced, the way that the like build up towards the audio cassette tape works, makes it a lot more accessible and easier. And I don't have to look it up on YouTube. I can just have a look around the hospital. You know, first you go to this door and you find this here, and then you progress to here and you unlock more, and eventually you will make your way to the audio cassette tape. And if I don't get annoyed at how obtuse it is, then you certainly won't either. And that's cool. I mean, it's kind of similar to Alan Wake 2 that I reviewed recently. I like it when there's those elements of like, okay, you got to find it, but we are going to lead you in the right direction. It's a lot easier to digest, and it stops, having to search for everything can make the game less scary. Speaking of scary, is Resident Evil scary? No, I don't think it is particularly scary. The design on the zombies is great. Sometimes they'll come up off the ground, but like you kind of expect it. But I don't know if this game was designed to be all that scary. I don't think the lighting really like adds anything horror-wise. It's not like the Dead Space remake where the lighting really intensified the horror in the remake. And the gameplay is quite light and easy compared to how it used to be, which just kind of makes it a bit less scary, which is fine. I'm fine with that. I don't consider the Resident Evil games to be scary to begin with, with the exception of maybe 2 Remake, which really did have its frights. And the gameplay is fairly solid. I remember it being better in 2 Remake, but it's still alright. It's okay. It's kind of third-person shooter stuff. I wouldn't say that it doesn't feel like a huge game, though it never would. It was always going to be a remake. But I do like the fact that because it's not huge, they condensed everything down, and it's quite linear, which I like a lot. And the graphics are absolutely staggering. They are fantastic. The physics engines, absolutely excellent here. The gunfire feels great, the weapons feel great, there's occasional upgrades here and there. You can find explosive ammo, but you have to find it in 2 pieces. There's a lot of inventory management here, which I like and I don't. I think in the Resident Evil games it's fine, it's manageable because they don't inundate you with things. In games like Fallout, I really don't like the encumbering system, but here I like it. I think it's it's absolutely fine, and this is just a fun romp from start to finish. You'll get constantly attacked by zombies. The pacing's pretty great, actually. I really like the pacing. Sometimes, you know, it slows down and then it will pick up, and, you know, there's a good amount of heavier gunfights compared to the slower gunfights, but never too overwhelming, and definitely there is enough of it, so that's pretty great, and that balance is quite good too. Like I said, the gameplay and the graphics are stunning, and the gameplay is pretty great. So it's good. I mean, it's on Game Pass, and I'm assuming it's super cheap on PlayStation 2. I would say, like, it's not long, it's not huge, and that's definitely what she said. But if you have a spare few hours and you want to, you know, a game like this, then yeah, I think I probably would. I would recommend it. It's great, bordering on amazing. And you know what? Yeah, I've had a really good time with it. Let's say that this one is amazing. And I'm going to see everyone later.
The PlayStation is only $149, and you can also get leading titles.